Hello and welcome to Adaptation, the vlog for film adaptations and the original material they're based on. I'm Jessica Dick, and I have to admit to being a little bit nervous about this week's vlog. Best adaptations of all time. I mean, just take a moment to let that sink in. That's a big decision. It was hard to get just a small handful of really good adaptations for this list, so bear with me. It's just a lot of pressure. But we might as well get started. Now, first of all, I feel like an honorable mention should actually go to Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. Not because either the book or the movie are all that great, but because if we're looking for good adaptations, well, a crappy book made for a crappy movie. I mean, couldn't expect anything less, right? But anyway, Doran chose Atonement, starring Keira Knightley, James McAvoy, and Saoirse Ronan, and it's based on the book by Ian McEwan. It's an early 20th century love story, and Doran says that it's always felt like she was just watching the book unfold on screen. So much so that her parents apparently felt like they didn't even need to read the book after they saw the movie. Not that we recommend that, though. It's always better to read the book first. I mean, at the very least, it lasts longer. I'll have to take her word for the accuracy of it, though, because I haven't actually read or seen the movie yet. But per Doran's recommendation, I'm definitely going to check it out, and you should too. Now, Kendall's addition to the list was the 2003 live-action version of Peter Pan, starring Jeremy Sumpter and Jason Isaacs. It was based on the original by J.M. Barrie. There was just something about this version. It perfectly captured the magic and the youth of the original, and it also retained that element of danger that the Disney's Peter Pan just kind of lacked. It was enough to keep Kendall enthralled in high school, and who can forget the memorable miming of Ludovine Sagmere as Tinkerbell. My choice for Best Adaptation was the BBC miniseries North and South, based on the original novel by Elizabeth Gaskell and starring Richard Armitage and Daniela Denby-Ashe. I actually watched the film before reading the book, which I know is breaking my own rule, but the film made me want to run straight to the book, and I finished it, and then I actually ended up studying it for a class in college too. And if I wasn't as gung-ho about Victorian lit as I am, I probably could have gotten away with just watching the movie and still been able to pass my test with flying colors. Not that I recommend that. Go check out the book. It's amazing, it's good, and I have to admit, this miniseries is definitely one of the closest adaptations I've ever seen. But of course, the BBC actually does a really good job with their miniseries, so just take a look at Pride and Prejudice with Jennifer Ehle and Colin Firth. Several of our hosts mentioned this priceless gem, so I couldn't very well leave it off the list. It was almost unanimous. The accuracy of this adaptation more than makes up for its length. 5 hours. It's just a good afternoon's work. I'm pretty sure if Jane Austen still lived, she would think that the BBC just had a live camera feed on the real-life Bennet household. If she knew what a camera was, I mean. Everything about it is just perfect. And I have spent many weekends watching through it and then re-watching and rewinding and rewatching it again. Both the book and the movie, they're my happy place. And most of the time, I don't care which one I have in my hands. Continuing with BBC adaptations, Jennifer is in complete awe over Sherlock, the BBC television series starring Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch. Obviously, this isn't an adaptation verbatim because the original was set like in the early 1900s and this is a modern story. But Jennifer is really impressed by how they've turned Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's writings into modern cases and modern stories and modern technology. And they've tied it together really well. The character representation of Sherlock and Watson and their friendship is just particularly reminiscent of the original. So much so it just deserves a spot on this list. Sarah's choice was the 2003 adaptation of Louis Seychar's Holes, starring Shia LaBeouf and Sigourney Weaver. Sarah says it's probably the most spot-on adaptation she's ever seen, and I can definitely agree with that assessment. I make sure to catch it whenever it's on TV, which is pretty often. The adaptation itself is so stellar because it's not only the story, and it's not only the characters, but this film captures the essence of the book. It captures the feeling and the setting. The feeling of when you're reading the book versus when you're seeing it on screen is exactly the same. And that's not something you can easily fake. And this one just has that charisma in spades. Again, sorry for the delay, but it was just really hard to narrow down the choices into a list. But we think we've gotten some good ones. Not that we won't be revisiting the topic again in the future when we have more brainstorms. Anyway, let us know what you think. This was such a difficult list to make that we're really hoping that you'll give us your feedback on it. Agree, disagree, either way, leave your comments below. Also, check out our blog, Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook pages, the links of which can be found in the comments section. And don't forget to check out our podcast on iTunes. Thanks for tuning in to Adaptation. Keep reading, keep watching, and keep comparing. Hope to see you next week.